Alright, this is the interior of the i435M Sport. Okay, where do we start? Okay, there's no speaker or tweeters over here because this is like the sporty variant, but not exactly the high spec. As you can see, there are no panoramic roofs or sunroof for that matter. But yep, let's start. Door handles, this is satin chrome, pretty nice material. And here's they no longer have the inlay, just a sort of like satin chrome, aluminium look-alike, touch-alike kind of material, but it's certainly plastic. And these are soft touch, okay? But the overall theme is all these, even though if you press it, is soft-ish, just a outer layer, but mainly is hard. Okay, here as well, even here where your knees tend to touch, even though this part is soft, right? But it's just the initial layer. Behind it is just still hard plastic. Speakers over here, not some branded Harman Kardon or whatnot. It's not branded. Okay, here you have a sort of a shape that you can put a bottle, and then there's further in here. There's no speaker here, so they could have give it full, sort of like a full length door bin. Okay, speaker over here. I like this, very comfortable, very comfy, nice material. Okay, not some high grade leather, the rougher type. Stitchings over here, blue stitching. And here there's no compartment, even though there is an indentation. For some reason, this part is injection mold, sort of polyurethane kind of material. Nice to touch, but the overall theme is still the rough type. All right. Aircon vents, they have some new innovation over here. Kind of prefer the old one, but it's all right. It's all right. Nothing much, easy. And then you can twist to close it and then open it. Kind of flimsy, this one. Okay. Nothing much here. Some M Sport badging over here. Rubber seals and all that. Organ type pedal, rubberized aluminium garnishing, footwell. Basically BMW does well in terms of seating position and all that. But the seats, this bolster, sorry to show you, this bolster, because I'm quite fat, right? I have big thighs, so I'm sitting on it instead of in it. So, it may help someone with a smaller frame, but for me, not the most comfortable seat I've been in. BMW, okay. Steering wheel, standard one since the G series. Okay, you get the buttons are easy to differentiate, right? But overall, in terms of buttonry, BMW has taken a step back. Back then, BMW are known to have really nice buttons to press. They feel good when you press them. Now it's no longer the case, especially the iDrive over here. This whole thing just feels not as tactile as they were when they have individual buttons, but this has been going around for quite some time. A standardized panel that they move to different cars. Of course, they gave up the whole idea of that supposed to be sapphire or supposed to be crystal, and then in the lower spec they give you a plastic one, and then they look really bad. So I rather have this than that chicken drumstick thing. Of course back then they were nice. I kind of like this material, this inlay over here is cold to the touch, and you have some patterns over it, pretty nice. Here the aircon vents, you can shut them as well. Yeah. And then this one for the passenger, this one for the driver. I much prefer manual controls than those on-screen type. All right. And then here you have the traction control, the cameras, the parking assist. Start-stop button is blue in color. Sport Comfort Eco Pro, auto hold, parking brakes, P, parking gear. Alright, and that's the iDrive panel, and this one you can write stuffs when you need to search, and then this one you have the apps. Alright, it's the nomenclature, you know, like what is live vehicle, and then what is vehicle status, right? And then overall is, I think once you own the car for some time, you'll get used to it. But first look, I mean, it's not laggy, not super laggy or whatnot. It's okay, you know, pretty stable. But yeah, sometimes you get stuff like that, very weird screens that has one giant icon that serves no purpose, and then one little lead thing for you to adjust, and then you don't even understand what does it mean by temperature adjustment upper body, second row of seats. It's like, what's that? And then when you come in here, rear climate control, okay, activate with default settings, temperature, you know, lock rear climate control. So it's a lot of weird nomenclatures across the car, and sometimes you will be confused. It's like, what is what, where is where, you know. They say this one, can you drag? No, you have to aim for the little button, right? Even near in between, you can't do anything. This one as well, you swipe, nothing, you touch a bit. See? So they can do better, huh? I mean, they're trying to use up the screen. I understand that all this animation is pointless, but this is how you enable and disable, you know, the air. It doesn't point at the footwell. And then home, yeah, somehow home is this. And then can you swipe all over? No, you no longer can. Last time they have the whole screen that goes like that, right? And then you can go like this. The widgets are over here. Not sure if you can customize them. Maybe you can. And then when you drag down the so-called shortcut, there's very little things. Not sure if you can add more. I don't see the option of adding. Heads-up display, do not disturb, hide private information. What is that? Right? Notifications, yeah. You know, some cars, you drag the right side, they give you different things. You drag the left side, they give you different things. You drag the middle, maybe you get notification. You drag here maybe for quick access, quick on-off of Bluetooth and those stuffs. None of that here. Swipe up, nothing. Left, oh, suddenly you have one when you swipe the left. Navigation, live vehicle, okay, you're here. And then you can see, what can I do here? All right, tire pressure monitor, adaptive content. What is that? Adaptive content activated. See what I mean or not? There's a lot of things that are like, you're there, but you don't understand where you are. Why are you here? You know? Journey data, okay, vehicle status, battery temperature, all right. Yeah, why is it called adaptive content, and why it needs to be activated? What does it mean? Adaptive content activated. Is it when you press the brakes, and then it will light up? And then the lights, when you flash, let's try. Does it? I see the little bulb come up. Okay. Yeah, when I flash, the little bulb will light up. And what else? If I open the door, will it show me opening the door? Oh, it does. Okay, when I open the window, it doesn't. Yeah, I do not know what is this screen for. What else? Automate habits. Okay, you need to log in with BMW ID. And then digital key. Activate main key, key card reset function, driving settings, okay. Lane departure warning. Get what I mean or not? A lot of things can be done easier, but vibration intensity, speed assistant, driving speed assistant. Why can't it show everything here when I'm here? You have an empty screen, right? It's just weird the way it, okay, PDC volume, warning, safety and warnings. Yeah, sometimes it's something like that. Sometimes it's a tick. Yeah, it's everywhere lah, huh? It's okay. What does that mean? Sport comfort, okay. Eh? I don't understand. Oh, under Eco Pro, what settings you want? Under Sport Individual, what settings you want? Okay. Charging. Preconditioned battery, fan loudness. Charging duration may vary depending on the time of the day. What do you think fan loudness means? What does it mean? Unrestricted, restricted, automatic. Yeah. It's the nomenclature that they choose. Seat comfort. Okay. Seat operating tips. Really? Really? Tips? I hope you get what I mean. It's just too... They have no idea what they're doing. They just want to fill up the screen. That's all I think of. Yeah, that's what I felt. I drive from the easiest to use to now something that is... People are scared to come in, you know. As for this one, press this. Okay, you get to scroll different content in the middle. Right? Navigation. See, the screen is so big, but it's mostly dominated by this design theme that they wanted. And then I press layout. Which layout I want. Yeah, you can do this. You can do this. You can do this. Why do I not want this? I'm using up the screen area. Right. What about this one? Okay, an even larger screen area. But you don't have the e-power. And then for the heads-up display, I'm not sure if you guys can see, it's actually pretty huge. All right, you can have different designs. Yeah, but none of them is of much use. It's pretty big, but mostly dominated by those designs that are not very useful, I would say. And then I press again, nothing much. I press again, that's it. That's all you can do with this screen. Pretty limited in terms of what you can do with it, even though it's a digital screen. All right, down here you have two buttons for next, previous song, and then max, heat up the windscreen, the rear, that's it. Your hazard lights here. They minimize the buttons. Here you have a wireless charger, but it's not air conditioned, so your device will heat up. And it's worse because all the air is traveling over here. There's not much ventilation inside here. If it's like China cars where the wireless charger is over here, with or without ventilation, there's still air coming along, so your device tends to heat up. And here is only one USB-A port, and here is a 12-volt socket, cup holders. At least they leave the middle so you can put things that cut across. And then this one, yeah, that's it. Right, press it to open up. All right, here you have a USB-C port, just one. Is it one? Yeah, there's only one. And then some compartments, nothing much. All right, at least the cables run freely. Right, the cables run freely. Now the seats look great in pictures. I mean, there's the M Sport theme. You know, there's fabric. The whole seats are fabric, and they look good, but they are a bit small for the size of the car. There's way more room that they can fit a larger seat, I suppose. And like most BMWs, this is non-adjustable. It's fixed there. And then here, nothing much. Covered in felt, usable, I guess. And that's the front passenger compartment. No sunglass holder. This one feels cheap. feels cheap, right? And yeah, it feels cheap. Look at all the Chinese cars, they have larger mirrors, they have diffuse lighting behind. This feels cheap. Okay, yeah. I mean, it's still a BMW lah. Fit and finish is alright, but then see all this old construction methods of cars. Yeah. 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 Not frameless rear view mirrors. Okay. And then as for the side mirror, of course, it's mounted on the base of the A-pillar instead of the doors. And I'm fine with that. I mean, it's usable. Not a lot of wind noise. They spread it apart enough. And then this is one huge area because of this. You see, if car makers mount side mirrors on the doors, the wirings can go through the door, but it's more expensive. So they mount it on the base of the A-pillar, which looks better. But I mean, it actually looks sportier. But then you have this housing that houses all the wirings and all that. And of course, different specifications, they can change this to put, you know, like Harman Kardon speakers or something for the higher grade variants. All right, let's go to the back seats, shall we? Oh, and then the car will switch off. I can't find like camping mode or something, you know, in China cars, China EVs, they have a camping mode where they keep the aircon running, you know, minimize the things. And then you get aircon, but you can lock yourself in the car, you can sleep and all that. So here, if I open the door, it's gonna just switch off. And then I step out, and the car will be off. See, even the aircon is off. Can I do activate preconditioning now? Yeah, I hope the aircon is running. Okay, it's running. All right, let's come to the rear seats. I quite like this. It looks good and it's a physical handle. All right, single pane glass. That's my seating position. It's actually pretty tight in here. Yeah. So that's my seating position. The doors, frameless, it looks sporty. And then again, same materials. It's all rough when you run your hands across, right? It's not a nice touch sensation. It just feels rough. This is nice, you know. But it's well built. It's well built. You see, there's no exposed molding lines. BMWs are well built. And will it switch off? I hope it doesn't switch off. Okay, here you have the center armrest. Yeah, so this one, yeah, press it to put your drinks. So it's actually shallow, but the way they designed this lid, it heightens the grip, so you can put taller bottles without it falling. Okay, and it's actually a tight space back here. I'll show you later. And here you can adjust your own climate control, aircon vents, and 2 USB-C ports. The tunnel is not too high, but there's practically, you know, basically we have to share the footwell if there is a middle passenger. All right, but it's all right. Not much of people will be sitting in the middle here. Okay, protruding buckles, so it won't be that comfortable for any passengers to be sitting, moving around here. Sorry for that. Actually, who does it? Maybe the previous guy who tested. So if you sit here or near it, right, this actually protrudes into your bum. Pretty uncomfortable, you know, these hard points in the car. Tiny headrests at the back. Okay, it's pretty tiny, and it's actually just enough, I would say. That's my seating position. I have 1 finger of headroom left, and then my legs are not touching the base. I can try my best. I couldn't. The seats are mounted pretty low, so my legs are just floating here, you see, it's not supported over here, but it's good and bad because these type of cars, let's say if my daughter, she is 9 years old this year, it will be fine for her. Shorter legs and she can bend her knees on these type of bench seats, so it's alright. But in terms of space underneath the front seats, because I sit pretty low, no, I have to sit like this so that my elbow can rest here and there. So there's very little room over here. Of course, there's a battery beneath. And in terms of on the rails between the base, just nice for my size, 11.5 feet. Okay, but it's not a very spacious cabin by any measure. It is not spacious. All right, it's just, yeah, and the seats, they are pretty firm. They're pretty firm, so it's not like you can sink into the seats. So I don't think this is a back seat that I can enjoy for long distances and all that. Yeah, it's considered not comfortable kind of back seat for adults. Yeah, the shape of it. Not. I'm a BMW fan, but yeah, this is. Sorry, I parked near so that my neighbor has more room because they are the in-between car. I'm not, so give them more space. But the car looks good. Look at all these details. It's a good-looking car. At the end of the day, right? You get a hatch lid. Okay, the boot, the size of the boot. Oh my God! Oh, my daughter don't have a water bottle. It dropped here. Just nice. Oh no. Okay. You get a little cover here and here. Both adds up to cover the boot completely. It also helps with soundproofing because this area kind of generates sound. There are no levers or whatsoever to drop the seats down. You have to go inside to drop it, and you won't be able to reach it here. Even though I can touch it because of my height, but if it were other shorter people, they won't be able to reach it, and this thing is blocking the access to it. So you can put a large suitcase, but it's by no means a very spacious boot. All right. Here you have some space underneath for your cables and all that, but that's about it. That's about it. All right. And here you have the charging port, AC, DC. AC you get 11 kilowatt for this car. If AC plus DC, maximum 180 kilowatt charging. All right. Yeah. So that's how this car is. Wheels look alright. They look good enough. The hyper aggressive diffusers at the back. Hallmark of BMW now. BMW laser. Okay. And what else? Is it even real? Air curtains. And then here you have the front end, which looks really good. Looks handsome. Yeah, it's a handsome car. No denying that. It's a good looking car. Let me see, what do we have? Oh, it's on the driver's side. Interesting. Let's go to the driver's side. Pop the bonnet. See what we have inside. And like all BMWs, you need to pull twice. The light curtain. BMW did it best. Those that shine the logo is tacky. Oh, there's nothing. Oh, it's a big cover, nothing much. So it's a place you don't need to come often. Yeah, looks like a giant engine underneath, right? Yeah, no compartment whatsoever. Yeah. Okay, so that's the i4. So if you really like a BMW EV car and you want it to look like those BMW sedans, sporty style, you can opt for this. But I would say it's a tighter car than the 3 Series. There's no arguments here. The 3 Series is a much bigger car. This is not an electrified 3 Series or 4 Series for that matter. It's tight inside here. Front passenger compartment, rear is all tight. Compact inside, but outside is not small. Alright, cheers. Alright, this is the BMW i4 35 M Sport, and it's like a base spec because it's like 290 something thousand. Yeah, below 300k. And 0 to 100 for an EV, this car only makes it in 6 seconds because it's like 200-ish horsepower, and the battery is in terms of the battery pack, it's not that big, but of course, you know, their claim WLTP range is like, you know, well, we always give a discount. Okay, nevertheless, AC charging, 11 kilowatt, not what the usual, you know, like most European premium brands, you see, like the Volvo C40 can do 22 kilowatt AC charging. This one can only do 11 kilowatt AC charging. As for DC, it's pretty decent, 180 kilowatt. But you see, that's the funny thing. When you use EVs, right, you ought to charge at home using AC. Now, I'm not saying it's a definite thing, but not many people can afford installing a DC charger at home, right? Those cost upwards of 100 over 1,000 to install. So at home, it will likely be AC charging. And if you use an EV and you rely on home charging, that means you go home, you plug it in, that's it, then your costs will be very low. But if you use EVs without a home charger and your only access to chargers are public chargers, your better option, of course, would be DC charging when it's available. But DC charging is expensive. They are expensive. So of course, if every public space that you go to, let's say the mall or the office and all that, has chargers available, then you can progressively drip in your charge. Basically, if you go to the shopping mall, you plug it in, even though your battery is like 50-60% or 60-70%, and then you go to office, you plug it in. So that's the way to use an EV in a cost-effective manner, because if you only rely on DC, it can cost you as much as petrol cars pumping Shell V-Power racing. I've done it personally. I went down from KL to JB on a day trip. I was having a media car on that day, and then there is a Porsche Center opening in JB. I was invited. So me and my colleague Thomas, we drove from KL to JB halfway, because we're blasting down, right? Halfway through, we need to charge at DC, and it costs us about 170 ringgit. And then when we arrive JB, we need to charge again. Also cost me about that kind of amount. And then on the way back as well. So that whole round trip, I end up spending close to 600 ringgit in DC charging. Pretty mad. Pretty mad. Okay. Anyway, how's the car? Still a BMW. You have the familiar touch points, the fat steering wheel, the squidgy stuff, and it's pretty comfortable, but it is comfortable in the firm side of things. So when we're traveling at these kind of slower speeds, right? So it's pretty alright. I mean, everything is ironed out really well. Soundproofing, road noise suppression is done really well. It is certainly a notch better than those, many Chinese EVs that I've tested in terms of soundproofing. But when compared to the slightly more premium ones, because I've been testing a lot of them that are priced around 120, 130, 140, 150,000. And but when you go to levels of the Sea Lion and Seal, it's pretty identical. Okay, except probably, shall I say that? No, I mean the fit and finish of Beamers are really nice. It's just that the modern Chinese EVs are so good and they are 100,000 lesser in price. Of course, this can never be the only ultimate argument, right? Because, like I said, we cannot deny the allure and the aspirational allure of the BMW badge, the Mercedes badge. I mean, when it comes to the argument points of whether it's worth it or not, it's like comparing an LV bag with a Coach bag. Which one is more worth it? Of course, a Coach bag, but who has the higher aspirational value? Of course, it's the LV, and then Gucci, so on and so forth, Chanel, Hermes, Dior's, and all that, right? Bottegas. But the thing is this. We're talking about two different groups of buyers here. In layman terms, in everybody's world, there is a natural hierarchy of growth. Basically, you come out and then you bought your first car and then you work hard. You want to go into a better car. Let's say you bought a local Perodua, a very honest, good car, a Myvi, right? And then you want to progress to your next car. Let's say a Honda Civic or a Toyota Camry. Camry prices are much higher these days. So there is that progressive, aspirational, hierarchical growth path. As much as anyone would like to say is superficial or whatnot, you cannot deny culturally it means something to us. It means something to that person, right? And it's a source of motivation, right? So for those, I don't think they will see that an i4, what I get in an i4, I can get in a Chinese car. No, I don't think they will see it that way. They will want to work towards obtaining their first Rolex, Maybe they go to Tudor first, right? From Rolex, and then slowly they go into Audemars Piguet, and then you go even more extreme towards Patek Philippe towards the end of, Patek Philippe's are, for me, I'm a Lange Sonne guy, but I can't afford, so I stick with Casios. Anyway, so that is one type, the typical ones. Now, on the other hand, there are people, maybe this one, okay, who has repeatedly purchased premium cars, right? They have bought their C-Class, they have went through the hierarchical path, and then their next car, a BMW, maybe they tried a Lexus, and maybe they tried an Audi, and they went to Porsche, and some even managed to get cars like Ferraris, Lamborghinis, or Aston Martins, Bentleys. Okay, for these type of buyers, it's a different thing. These type of cars, to them, is a daily runabout car. And they have gone through that whole badge, pride, hierarchical thing. To them, the logo no longer means much. Okay, to them they're like, they look at cars as what I pay, what I get. And these are the type of people that I see. A lot of them are the ones who buy Proton X70. You know, initially they booked a Honda CR-V for their family to use as a runabout vehicle. And when the X70 came out, hey, that's better value and it looks more like a premium car. And then they are the ones who, they don't look at the badge anymore. They bought that one, right? And I believe for those type of buyers, this car, when they compare this versus that of a Sea Lion or Seal, they won't feel compelled by this. Yeah. Smartec lane koyak. That means I need to open the window to... That means I need to remove you guys. Anyway, I'll continue the video later. Alright. Now, that is on the argument of how close are the Chinese to these cars. But if you put that aside, let's talk about the car itself. It's comfortable, but this car, because it's of a sportier setup, many of the road's undulations are transmitted into the cabin. And it isn't, you know, in premium cars, right, when you have road undulations and all that, right, they tend to slow down the reaction. That means if the road has this, what you feel in the car is this, a more gradual, a more softer, linear undulation. That's what you felt in the car. But this one, it transmits everything through the undercarriage, through your seat, through your bum. You feel everything, but not in a crashy manner and in a dampened manner. So it almost feels like it is intentional that they want you to feel that way, because this is a very different character and very different setup from the i5. The i5 is supreme in comfort. Just irons out everything. You have that Teutonic, you know, tractability in that i5. Just this one, you kind of feel that the car reacts. You know, it's a sportier setup. Yeah. So if you are those who enjoy the interactions between your car and yourself, then of course you will enjoy this one more. But I have to say, in today's world, I kind of felt this car is tight. Front seats, the rear seats, not tight in the way of Mazda 3 tight. Mazda 3 tight is borderline unusable tight. This is totally usable. You can still have 4% on a road trip with your luggage behind and all that, but it's around you. Of course, I'll go to the walk around video on that part. As for driving, nobody should cast a doubt on BMWs on how they react when you drive. You know, it's a pleasure to drive, but so does many cars that are cheaper now. You see, because back then, as we were going through our path of, do I call it the path of upgrading, right? Why is there an aspirational value to go into a BMW or a Mercedes-Benz? Put simple, everything about those cars are better. Let's talk about in the early 2000s, right? In the early 2000s, or even late 90s, but basically these are long-term effects, all right, of a superior product, charging you more money, but also because everything is better. These cars back then in the ICE era or pre-turbocharged era, okay, they have bigger engines, they are built better inside, they're more comfortable, they are faster, they corner better, they have more specifications. So if you think about it, in the year 2005, BMW is the first car maker that comes out with an integrated infotainment system, iDrive, right, with the knob. The knob is made of solid mill aluminium in the BMW E60 and E63. And of course, the 7 Series, I forgot the code, E65. All right, and those cars have what, 2.8 liter engines, 3 liter engines, even the smaller ones are 2.5. So that was the era. And in the fast lane, if you are a 1.7 liter Honda Civic of the era, the FB, right, you will give way to the BMW because you know his car is faster, corners faster, better, you know, and that is the right to remain in the right lane belongs to those cars, and it's a natural thing, right? But when we come to this era, when the base 3 Series has barely 140 horsepower and a Honda Civic 1.5 Turbo has 170 over horsepower, it's no longer that case. And then it gets worse when it comes to EVs, right? The 170,000, the 170,000 BYD Seal does 0 to 100 in 3.8 seconds. This one does it in 6 seconds. Okay, there's a chance for me to accelerate. Yep. So you're not faster. And what about the inside? Is this built with better materials than a car like a BYD Seal? Not exactly. It is good, but no longer 120,000 ringgit better. Right? No longer. You don't feel that way once you have touched those and all that. And does it drive better? Not exactly. It's not bad, but that one is not bad as well. But one thing I have to give to German car makers, despite the fact that I don't think BMW's UI is the best design out there, okay, despite that, I think German cars UI is a lot more stable than a lot of those rushed out Chinese car UIs, right? A lot of them will have little niggles of, hey, why is that car doing that all of a sudden, you know? The inconsistencies are there. But that's not to say that it never happened to German cars. It does. It will happen. You know, I've seen so many instances of all these kind of integrated screens having weird issues of connectivity. These screens these days are like smartphones, right? And once in a while, with so many processors working behind, something is bound to, you know, an extra zero appear. So what do? You reset the thing. We're used to that with our smartphones. Just reset it. So that's another part. Generally speaking, now in the sitting position, driving, the seats, I'm still not happy with the traditional way of German cars segregating their seats. No choice. That's how they plan their products, right? If you buy a lower end or a cheaper vehicle, you will get lousier seats, right? They don't hold you as well as the more premium ones. That is one thing that the Chinese car makers don't agree with. For them is a calculator or an abacus. You know, they calculate if they can still have a profit margin, they will throw the best seat in, because their mode of operative is very different. They are out there either to kill their competitors or be killed. So they have a totally different mindset when it comes to how they plan their products. Whereas the Germans, they have long years of industry practice. They slowly drip through their upgrades so that you have upgrade path. Yeah. Anyway, by no means this one is a bad car, but at the end of the day, you're paying close to 300,000, which is not expensive at all in the tradition of Malaysian car prices for premium cars. It's there, right? It's thereabouts. Now the funny thing is, the Mini Countryman EV, which is about this price, of course it doesn't corner like this, but somehow that car to me presents its value better than this one. It's a larger car. Somehow it looks more premium, shall I say. It's very weird. It just looks more premium inside out, and it's a very lovely car. It has a very nice user interface, much nicer, much more polished than this one. This one is considered fast, no doubt, but it's just the way the planning of the UI planning is just, yeah. And sorry to say, I'm a BMW fan. I should be biased against BMW. I should be, biased against others. Biased for BMW. I mean, it's a nice car to drive. Yeah, just that in this current time and age, they need to do more. Yeah. It's a wet morning. Even though the headline figures of 0 to 100 is not that impressive when you see 6 seconds, but I tell you, in day-to-day drive, like what I just did, is something that only a 3 liter or 4 liter turbo can do in an ICE car. The sudden acceleration so you won't feel the need to have more power in this car. Yeah, and I believe that's the way electric cars should be tuned, not the neck jerking type acceleration. Those are pointless in day-to-day use. It only stresses your components more, increase in maintenance costs down the road, and just use up your valuable electricity charge. All right. So, yep. Car drives well, comfy enough, and usable. And this front end looks really good. Yep, this front end looks good. All right. Oh, yeah. BMW amongst the Germans is also the one with the better adaptive cruise control. Very good, in fact. And I think so far amongst the German trio, BMW has the more solid product, I would say, currently. Yeah, in terms of electrification and in terms of software. UI is another thing, right? The way they design the UI is another thing, but in terms of the software that the car runs on, including adaptive cruise control, radar cruise control, that kind of stuff, traffic jam assist and all that, BMW has done really well. I would say on par with Volvo. All right. Cheers.